Hello, and welcome to Joshua Wessex with me, Josh. This is a YouTube channel where we try and use logic, reasoning, and common sense to make sense of the world around us and see what's going on. If that's the sort of thing you like, please do like and subscribe to see more. If you haven't seen my other videos, I'm starting to build a little catalogue, so go ahead and check them out. Otherwise, we'll get into it. So today we're going to be looking at culture. So, cultures then, what are they? Well, to a normal person, it's just everything around you. So essentially, it's about like your country's beliefs and values, customs, traditions, the language you use, just the things that you kind of learn about. So when you kind of go on holiday and you think, oh, that's all really cultured. Why don't we have any culture over here? Well, you do. It's just you're blind to it because it's what you do. So, like for example, let me just get a little photo up. Look at these people. So this is like a nice little town I made. For some reason, they've all got white hair and beards, but hey, that's part of their culture, I guess. So essentially, that's just showing you sort of what a culture looks like. Sort of what you do. Um, Example of this, like Britain, like we have a culture of we like to go out drinking. We like to queue for things. We love to be passive aggressive, and we like to avoid people that we know in public. If we see them, we just hide our head and go away. Another example of this would be the French. So, nice stereotypical Frenchman there. I call him Pouy Poliev. Essentially, yeah, in the France, they like smoking cigarettes, like eating baguettes, eating stinky cheese, and eating frogs. So that's what culture is. Okay. What we're looking at today is also multiculturalism. So, as you can see in this picture, you've got people wearing different things, look differently. That's essentially where you've got more than one culture present in a society. Now, reason we're looking at that today is because in Britain, a lot of these sort of people in charge or the people in the media are always banging on about how, oh, we're a multicultural melting pot. Oh, isn't it how great, how multicultural we are? At the end of the day, they just don't like the British culture. They feel a sort of disdain towards it. And they always say, how amazing multiculturalism is, which I can agree. There are some benefits to multiculturalism. Let's say, for example, imagine you're a culture that loves drinking on a weekend night. Okay, you're out with your friends. You've had 6 Jaeger bombs and about 5 pints, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Um, you'd really like something really greasy and just to eat, and it feels really nice. Um, Luckily, there's a bunch of people from another culture who don't drink at all, and they're really good at making really greasy food for drunk people. So you find a kebab shop, and there you go. You've got a lovely blend of two different cultures there. You've got the one who likes the drinking and the one who likes feeding drunk people. So it can work to an extent. However, what I was going to quickly look at is just a quick comment that was made previously by Kemi Badenoch. So she said, not all cultures equally valid. I think she actually walked this one back. This was about a year ago now. So essentially, she wasn't leader back then, and she was just kind of making a sense. Okay, you know, anybody who wants to move to the United Kingdom ideally would share our cultures, share our values, in order for them to kind of integrate better. And that makes perfect sense because if you think about it, back in what was it, late 2020s, 2000, okay, the late 2000s, sorry, we got a whole lot of European people coming into our country, and on the whole, yeah, it was actually okay. I mean, the Polish people worked too hard for half the money, so that was a problem. But otherwise, yeah, on the whole, they were Christian. We were a Christian, so we were a Christian nation. So they were going to churches, very Catholic of them. They appreciated the same sort of things. Yeah, some of them didn't speak the language, but after a while, I think it started to kind of get a bit better. So that's kind of where they're from a different culture, but it's sort of similar to ours. So yeah, there's always going to be teething problems when you get two different cultures together. But at the end of the day, no, it all went well, and I'm sure all of you have got some Polish friends or colleagues that you know very well. Yeah, that's actually it. But today we're not going to be talking about the ones that work. We're going to be talking about the ones that don't work. So starting off, then we are going to just look at some cultural traditions from overseas that might be starting to get imported into the UK. And then I'm not gonna, dig on anybody. I'm not gonna, slag off anyone else's culture. I'll just let you decide if that's the sort of thing you want in the UK. So, starting off, let's talk about something that originates from Afghanistan, sort of Middle Eastern area. Um, this is something like we call Bacha Bazi. Now, you may have heard about this, you may not. Um, Bacha Bazi is when a older man takes a younger man, or you'd call him a boy, um, to be their companion. Yeah. So essentially, it's quite prevalent in the northern areas of Afghanistan. I've read, but that's what Bachabazi is. They take a little companion and do horrible things to them. So that's why in some areas of that country, Afghanistan, young men are very quick to grow their beards because it makes them less attractive. So that's one thing that we're sort of importing. Now, if you think I'm just kind of making this up, no, because if I show you a article from our best friend, The Guardian, this is from 16 years ago. So I bet you they wouldn't write this today. But essentially, it just confirms to you that what they do is they get these young boys, dress them up, make them dance for them, and then, as I said, do horrible things to them later on. Weirdly enough, the Taliban, who are now in charge after the Afghan army basically did nothing when the US pulled out, they're actually cracking down on it. Yeah, weirdly enough, we were sort of keeping the people who don't like this sort of thing out of power. I'm not sure if we were supporting the right side. And yeah, and it was so prevalent that if you ask anybody who served in the British Armed Forces, who served in Afghanistan, about Man Love Thursdays, I'm sure they'll tell you because it was so brazen that the Afghani army commanders would literally have their companions walking around with them right in front of the US and British troops. Yeah, go ahead, Google Man Love Thursdays, maybe on a private browser. Don't not at work. And yeah, that'll tell you about it. Now, essentially, as I'm using the Guardian, we all know to be a complete left-wing paper. I can't be making it up, can I? So yeah, that's one thing we're getting. And obviously, we've got a lot of Afghani people now coming to the UK. So yeah, there's that. So let's say goodbye to him. Now, there's another thing. I want to absolutely butcher the pronunciation of this. Taharush Gamia, which basically is an Arabic translation for like group assault. Now, here's an image of it. Now, this image probably doesn't make a lot of sense to you. So, I am going to show you on paint what I'm talking about. So, what I've drawn here is 3 rings, because asking AI to draw 3 rings, you just get all this weird stuff. And then a little X in the middle. Okay, so the outer ring, number 1, is so this is all, I'll go into it. So outer ring number 1 is all mostly elderly men. Now what these elderly men do is they form this ring and they sort of keep people out from getting inside. Usually just telling people to kind of, back off. Ring number 2. This is mainly of the middle-aged men, sort of the old, less older than the elderly, but not quite young. They dance and shout and sing and make as much noise as possible and jump around. You're probably wondering why they do that? Well, because ring number 3 are the younger men, and they're circling X. X marks the spot. What X is, number 4, is usually a female, a young female, who ring number 3 is doing very not nice things to. And the whole group, the whole purpose of this is for them to do these not nice things, and then everyone just walks off afterwards. Yeah, that's it. So that's what that image there is sort of describing. So that young girl, she's not in for a good time. And again, if you think, okay, well, that's not really happening in the West, is it, Josh? You're just being a bit silly. Okay. I don't know if you guys remember this. Again, this is The Guardian, so you can't blame me for looking for right-wing propaganda. But in Cologne in 2015 on New Year's Eve, there were thousands of assaults, let's say, on German women, and they were done predominantly by Middle Eastern men, and they were running around and just assaulting them. I actually have a friend who lives near Cologne. I actually texted her at the time saying, like, "Are you okay? Like, were you caught up in it?" And she just said how bad it was. So yeah, that's after Mother Merkel started importing loads of people into many from Syria into Europe, into Germany. And this article, again from the Guardian, just confirming, yep, these were asylum seekers who, on New Year's, found a bunch of women all out celebrating. You know, it's New Year's in Germany, and then just went on this absolute rampage. If you want to find out more about it, just Google Cologne New Year's Eve 2015, and I'm sure you're going to find a few articles. So there's that. Right, what other things are there in other cultures that we started to get? Oh, okay. Have any of you heard of female genital mutilation? Yeah, didn't really happen in the West before recently, but essentially, what FGM is essentially is where they do surgery on a woman's nether regions, either making it inoperable or just removing the that bit that they really like. So this is from the actual World Health Organization's website. So again, trying to use as neutral sources as possible. And it's just a practice that they do. And as you can see there, 230 million girls alive today have suffered from it. So again, you're probably thinking, well, Josh, this doesn't happen in the UK, does it? It does now, unfortunately. So this is from the NHS website. So let me just scroll this around for you. As you can see there, just under 38,000 women in the United Kingdom have undergone FGM. Now, just make sure this isn't a voluntary procedure. No one's asking for this. This is being forced upon them. And underneath, you can see there's a little graph there, just showing you what age this is done. Now, as you can see, unfortunately, the vast majority of this is done under the age of 18. Now, it's bad enough it's happening to adults, but little girls, that it's just barbaric. Let's be honest. So, if that's the sort of thing you want to import to this country, you keep voting for Labour, you keep voting Green, no problem. But for the rest of us, normal people, there's a little chart for you to say, yep, that's happening in the United Kingdom. So wherever they tell you online or in the media, that's it. And as you can see there, the age is only known for 40% of people. The rest, it could be anything. It could skew over 18, but let's be honest, it most likely isn't. So what else what else is there in other cultures that we might enjoy having here? Okay, another one. Honor killings. So honor killings is essentially when a member of a family is unalived, got to use that word for YouTube, by their own family members. Now, usually this would sort of be because they've brought shame or dishonor to their family. This again is, and just like FBM, this has come from sort of Africa, Middle East, parts of Asia. That's sort of where the practice is coming from. So essentially, daughter's done something. Maybe, I don't know, she's slept with a bloke from another family, or she might have been unfaithful in a marriage, or she might have just done something that's really peeved everyone off. Now, in British culture, because obviously of feminism, if a woman did that here, we'd probably just call her a slag and that'd be it. But no, over there, they say, nope, you've brought shame to this family, and then the father or the brothers will actually go ahead and unalive them. Terrible, isn't it? So you're thinking, okay, Josh, all right, we get the point. This is also terrible. It surely isn't happening in the UK, is it? Well, funny you should ask that. This is a map here of some of the confirmed unalives in the United Kingdom. So as you can see here, we've got a lovely little spread. So majority of it, as you can see, is coming from Zoom in. There we go. Manchester, Leeds. Right, and then I know. Oh, there's a big post there. What's that? Is that Birmingham? Oh, okay, Birmingham. Right, and London. And then I was surprised. I found one in my hometown, Bournemouth. So probably need to find out more about that. But what do London, Birmingham, or a bit of Leicester, Manchester, and Leeds all have in common? Right, high proportions of migrated people living in them. Okay, so, and the last thing, just to let you know, when you say, okay, it's probably not happening that much, here we go. In the last 4 years alone, so even during lockdowns, during COVID, when people aren't meant to be doing anything, we're looking at like what between 2,000 and 3,000 events of this happening per year. That's reported. Okay, so essentially, it's happening. It's happening quite a lot. So anytime you kind of hear this on the news or anything, oh, family murders daughter. Oh, yeah, murder. As I say, I've already said it once. Family murders daughter because she started dating a white boy or black boy. They're quite racist over there. Then yeah, this is happening quite often. So don't believe what you see in the news. I'll say, oh, it's happening once every blue moon. No, it's happening a lot more than you think. So I mean, with these statistics, that could be easily quite a few a day. So there we are. And then the last thing I was just going to talk about. I don't think this is really happening in the UK, but I thought, hey, this is something that they do over there. Maybe they might do here. Grapist, because I can't say the R word, is let off you read it, okay? And if this is an audio description for some people, basically, some guy assaults a woman, and then the families agree that rather than doing anything legal about it, they will let the brother of that woman assault the perpetrator's sister. The families agree to that, okay? So, just absolutely blows my mind. Of course, I will put in there, they were arrested for doing that, I believe, because the government or the local authorities were like, actually, okay, even that's a bit nuts. But the fact that these families actually sat down and said, okay, let's make this right, an eye for an eye, absolutely mental. So essentially, and it's not a long one today, but I just wanted to really highlight a culture is what we've spent generations building. Okay, a culture can define the future of your country. British culture, we had a whole culture based around working hard, working for king and country, and then what's happened now is by letting all these other cultures in, there are some benefits to it. I mentioned the kebabs, and let's be honest, I do love me a Chinese, okay? And obviously, there's a lot of foreign girls who are very hot, okay, my wife included. But there are also drawbacks because when you start bringing all these people in, when they get off the small boat or the airplane or however they get here, they don't just kind of leave all that back home, okay? And as I've just shown you, these things are happening in this country. They're not forgetting about it. They're bringing it with them. And I'm not going to go into detail in this video, but when we see these horrible cases of migrants assaulting young girls here, a lot of the excuses are, I didn't know it was illegal here, or I didn't think you'd be so strict here, or sorry, I've not had enough experience with white people to know that's not right. And our judges and our judiciary are literally just saying, okay, go, that's fine, you can leave. It's not fine. And the more that people know about what is actually happening, and the more we actually say, actually, it's not racist to point out that doing these sort of things is bad. If you think, okay, it's fine because they're foreign, you're a retard. Just pure and simple. So I hope you like this video. Sorry, a bit of a downer, but let's be blunt. Britain is pretty down at the moment, and unless people are told the truth and what is actually happening in this country on a daily basis, we can't address the issues. And if you want to live in cloud la la land and just ignore it's happening, that's fine. Next time your wife or sister comes home and says, oh, this happened to me, say, oh, I should listen to Josh because he warned me about this. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll release another video soon. Please like if you did like the video, please subscribe if you haven't, and by all means, feel free to leave a comment, give me feedback, tell me, give me some ideas for another video, but otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.